I'm a trans voice teacher, which means I teach trans voice alteration, also known as vocal feminization, masculinization, and neutralization. And this is how I know that cis heteronormativity oppresses us all. I have cisgender students who have come to me looking to help them better align with their assigned gender at birth. So cis women who want to sound more feminine because their voice doesn't align with their gender presentation, and cis men who want to sound more masculine for the same reason. It's not only trans people who are being oppressed by binarist cisnormativity.
Hi, my name is Renée Yoxon, and I am a singer-songwriter and gender-affirming voice teacher. Yesterday, I released my very first TikTok, and it was extremely well received. Like I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. But thank you to everybody. I'm so excited to be part of this community and to eventually post tips, tricks, and other things. So stick around. There's going to be a lot of that and all your questions will be answered. But I wanted to very briefly introduce myself. So as I said, my name is Renée. I am a singer-songwriter. I have 4 albums out. I have degrees in jazz performance, songwriting, and physics. I've been a vocal coach for the last 12 years, and I am a humongous nerd about all things the voice. I'm non-binary, my pronouns are they, them, and my one dream is to snuggle a dairy cow in this manner. If you have any questions about the voice, anything at all, leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you in another video.
So the terms true or real voice and false or fake voice are kind of antiquated terms when it comes to trans voice work, much like terms like born in the wrong body. And the reason for that is there are no true or false voices. All voices are created through the process of habituation, and everybody goes through voice training. So we all go through our voice training around 18 months when we learn how to speak, and then some of us go through another set of voice training when we go through a testosterone puberty. And then there are those of us who may choose to go through a third voice training at some point because they're unhappy with the voice that they have acquired. So when I'm teaching these voice lessons, I tend to use the terms acquired voice and target voice because nothing about the voice is really that biological. If you grew up in one place, you have one accent. If you grew up somewhere else, you'd have a different accent. Voice is acquired for the most part.
Yeah, this is absolutely possible. If you're having kind of a guy day, you can talk in a more masculine tone, a little darker, a little deeper, maybe a little brassier.
And if you're having a very feminine day, you could maybe have a brighter voice, a lighter voice, a very bright voice. It's totally up to you. The hard part is that switching between two voices will require a higher cognitive load because you'll have to be concentrating on making the voice as well as having a conversation. So I might practice by spending one day speaking entirely in one voice or the other voice, or try playing games that have a lower cognitive load than a conversation, like categories where you just get to say one word in your target voice. I hope that helps.
Let's talk vocal hygiene. So there are a lot of really good things you can do to maintain good vocal health. The first thing is to hydrate. Drink enough water throughout the day. Avoid too much caffeinated beverages or alcohol. Those things act as diuretics and dry you out. Also, don't smoke. It is very drying and just all around terrible for you and your voice. Get sufficient rest. That means having good sleep habits so that you improve the quality of your sleep, and also taking vocal rest when your voice is feeling tired. Avoid too much throat clearing. So like that can be really hard on the vocal cords in the long run. That can lead to vocal damage. Some people may need to avoid certain foods that stimulate mucus production, like dairy, cheese, milk, that kind of thing. Not everybody reacts that way to those foods, but excess mucus production can lead to more throat clearing. I hope this helped. What's something that you are super proud of that not that many people know about? Mine is that I wrote this song. Hey there, ho there, before you go there, don't forget to click that link. The YouTube algorithm works in very strange ways. A click's the best way to give Ash Hardell your praise. So hey, ho, before you go, don't forget to click that link. Do you know where that's from? Let me know in the comments if you do. Hi, I'm a gender-affirming voice coach, and here are 3 characteristics that define a voice. 1, pitch. This defines the relative highness or lowness of a given note. So for example, ah. 2 is vocal fold mass. So this defines the relative brassiness or reediness or thickness and thinness of a fundamental note. So for example, ah, ah, ah. And the third characteristic is resonance, which defines the relative brightness or darkness of a given note. So for example, ah, 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 ah. So your homework is to describe your voice and the voice of a friend using those characteristics. I hope this helped.
Hey there, just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who followed me these last 4 days. This has been the wildest weekend of my life. I've been absolutely inundated with student requests and I cannot take them all on, but I really want to make sure people who want one can get one. So I have created this waiting list, and all you have to do to get on it is go to reneeyoxon.com/teaching and fill out your name and email address, and I will email you when space becomes available. So thank you so much. I'm going to post trans voice tips here, so stick around. There's going to be lots of fun content. I'm really excited.
Okay, I have heard you loud and clear. Renee, what is voice neutralization? As you saw in my last video, voice alteration is not just flipping a switch between masculine and feminine. It's modifying a series of characteristics to create a voice that gives you gender euphoria. And I didn't even talk about all the characteristics in the last video. Voice neutralization can be modifying certain characteristics but not others. It can be compensating for some characteristics of your voice that are highly gendered and not others. Or it can be modifying all characteristics, but only to certain degrees. So for example, if your voice is very high, you can add some darkness to it while keeping the height. Or if your voice is very low, you can brighten it while keeping the low tone. There are lots and lots and lots of ways to neutralize your voice. I hope this helped. I'm a trans voice teacher, and today we're discussing vocal anatomy, part 1. Before I can start sharing trans voice training exercises, I need to make sure that we're all on the same page about what this instrument is and how it works. So today, let's start by looking at the larynx. The larynx is a cartilaginous structure that is suspended in the neck by a cage of muscles and is attached to the top of the trachea. It can move freely up and down like when we swallow or yawn, but it can also be moved manually from side to side. The vocal folds are housed within this cartilage. The main function of the larynx is to serve as a valve. The vocal folds can open completely to let air in or close completely to prevent food or water from entering the airway. But the larynx also has a third configuration where the vocal folds come together, but loosely enough that air is allowed to pass through and the vocal folds can vibrate, producing sound. If you sing with your hand on your neck, you can feel this vibration. Stick around for part 2. You've probably noticed that I call myself both a trans voice teacher and a gender-affirming voice teacher. This is because there's a lot of ways to refer to this work. Here are 10 ways to refer to trans voice lessons. Gender-affirming voice lessons, voice and communication therapy, voice alteration, voice modification, voice feminization, masculinization, or neutralization, trans vocal exploration, non-binary voice discovery, authentic voice work. Now, I'm more comfortable with some of these phrases than others, but it actually doesn't matter what I call this work. What matters is what this work is to you. In the comments, tell me how you like to refer to your trans voice practice. My name's Renee, and I'm a trans voice teacher. Let's talk vocal anatomy, part 2. Today we're looking at the pharynx. But Renee, didn't we look at that last time? That was the larynx. This is the pharynx. The pharynx, also known as the throat, is a hollow muscular tube that runs from the back of the nose down into your neck. It consists of 3 sections: the nasopharynx, behind the nose, the oropharynx, behind the mouth, and the laryngopharynx, which is lower down, closer to the larynx. While the top section of the pharynx is rigid, the bottom 2 sections can change and move to become bigger, smaller, or longer. These muscle movements make swallowing possible, but they're also very important for shaping a vocal sound. Therefore, they're very important in trans voice work. The oropharynx and laryngopharynx, together with structures in the mouth, constitute the parts of the vocal tract that we can change in order to modify the resonance, or brightness and darkness, of our sound. Stick around for part 3. I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher, and today I'm going to teach you an exercise to help you better understand how to feel changes in resonance, or the relative brightness, of your voice. As I mentioned in my video on the pharynx, resonance is controlled by the size and shape of your vocal tract. modify the shape of your vocal tract, and you modify the color of a given note. Lucky for us, we're all experts at this because this is how vowels are differentiated. To feel how this works, I want you to say on any given note, E. E. And now on that same note, I want you to say ah. Ah. Can you feel the difference in the shape of the mouth, the position of the tongue, and the height of the larynx? Now, on the same note as before, change between E and ah and feel what changes in the vocal tract. E, ah, E, ah. The fine motor control that allows you to differentiate between E and ah is the same that will allow you to speak in a bright feminine way, a dark masculine way, or something in between. I'm a trans voice teacher, and today we're going to learn an exercise that builds on the resonance exercise from yesterday. Yesterday we learned that modifying our vocal tract is what enables us to differentiate vowels in speech. But how do we apply that knowledge in order to align the perceived gender of our voice with our inner sense of gender? To do this, we're basically going to memorize the shape of a word that gives us the qualities we want in our speech. For example, take the word key and the word O. If you say key in a very small and cute way, it's very bright. Key. Key. On the other hand, if you take an open O and say it in a very relaxed way, it's quite dark. O, O. So if you want a brighter, more feminine voice, say key and then try saying O in the shape of key. Key, O, key, O. On the other hand, if you want a darker, more masculine voice, say O and then try saying key in the shape of O. O, key, O, key. I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. If you struggled with the feminization aspects of yesterday's resonance exercise because you had trouble keeping the larynx up, then I have a little exercise for you. Larynx pull-ups. This is basically like a Kegel for the muscles responsible for raising your larynx. I want you to say E and take note of how your larynx rises by putting your hand on your larynx. E, E, E. Now, try raising your larynx by creating the E shape without phonating. Once you've mastered this basic movement, repeat it and hold it multiple times. You can start with 8 reps, each held for 3 seconds and then relaxed, and then repeat for another set if you're feeling up for it. You can increase the number of reps, the duration of the hold, or the number of sets in order to get the progressive overload needed to build up those muscles. Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a trans voice teacher. A few days ago, I posted an exercise for understanding resonance called the Key O exercise. If you struggled with the masculinization aspects of that exercise because you felt a lot of resistance when lowering the larynx, then I have a little exercise for you. Tongue root relaxation. As we saw in my larynx video, the larynx is suspended by a cage of muscle, and like all muscles, they can become tense. This exercise targets the geniohyoid muscle, otherwise known as the tongue root. To do this exercise, take the pad of your thumb and stick it in the squishy bit underneath your chin. Then try swallowing and resist the force you're going to feel when that muscle engages. You can do that 2 or 3 times. When you're done, try yawning. You might feel a little bit less resistance after this. Since tension is often the culprit when it comes to challenges with voice masculinization, you can also massage the face, the neck, you can meditate, or do anything else that helps you to reduce tension.